Let me just preface this by saying that there's nothing new under the sun. What's done has been probably done before or laid the foundation to reimagine something else. It takes years upon years to write, create, and craft three-dimensional characters that translate on screen and capture the essence of a singular story while making sure an audience connect with its plot, message, and overall visual appeal. With every connection comes a core memory attached to watching a certain film that carries you through your life, whether good or bad, as the years go by. Whether you're a kid whimsically enjoying life and your own crazy adventures, trying to survive the insufferable high school phase, or figuring out which way to go and trying to live through an adult life while overcoming loss, trauma, and exploring new opportunities and experiences. There's dozens of movies that come out every weekend, some with more promotion and marketing than others, but that's a video for another day. Movies have and will always be a special part of culture, and having that shared communal experience. But somehow, within the past few years, we've seen a surge of remade movies with bold takes that leaves audiences feeling a lot to be desired. There's been quite an interesting take on film projects, and some say there's been a loss of the art form of filmmaking with the rapid advancement of technology. As with everything else, because they're trying to garner the attention of a quick TikTok social media scrolling generation. So let's break down why people are remaking beloved classics and why it becomes an issue. Let's get right to it. The film industry just isn't as popular as it used to be. The shift from going out on the weekend to a theater near you has become segmented to watching movies whenever or wherever people want, and maybe not even see the whole thing and watch a clip on social media to be the determining factor to watch a movie. So the industry must rely on what consumers have been looking for, searching for, and use it as a tool to gain interest. And what a better way to do that than with nostalgia? Based on what I said earlier, nostalgia is that sentimental longing of the past, where people have created such fond memories, and it's become deeply embedded in people's brains and hearts, and it's been revived in our culture since about 2016, I would say. Also, let's get real. Times are tough nowadays, and they've been like that for a minute. Through a heavy political, social, and economic climate, people's personal mental healths are deteriorating and people just want to escape. And what a better way to use some of people's beloved core memories to fill that void. And I can't pretend like it doesn't, but nostalgia sells. And even though there has been some flops, it still works. But where it falls flat is taking something that's already been beloved by people for years and then changing it up to take away and not add anything more of value than what's been already seen. I know, remakes aren't a new thing, but the problem with what's happening in recent years is that they are taking classic movies and taking on bigger budgets, but still with no substance. What made some remakes in the 90s and 2000s work is that some of the films were not already beloved classics, or a whole generation has passed before presenting it to the public, and the packaging was just different, which leads me to my next breakdown. You know you've made it when a person recognizes your face from film or TV. You know you're a star when they know you by face and name. With that being said, it's becoming more rare that people are seeing movies with people they don't know in it. People have made countless videos talking about the lost art of the superstar or acting talent, and the industry has been on an ongoing search for this generation's top-tier actors, but tend to forget that it takes a long process for the talent to emerge. Sometimes with the fast-paced society we live in, makes us forget that great acting is still a studied and learned skill. Everyone wants things in an instant, and some things take time, but if people aren't willing to put in the time and effort, then there's a compromise, and it leaves out new faces and new opportunities for stars to emerge because we've settled to cast celebrities or socialites with big followings who have become the standard in making these nostalgia-driven remakes. That's not to say that none of them are deserving. It's just that the industry cuts its losses, but it does cut out the undiscovered talent that's deserving of a great film with original writing. So the industry goes for popularity, even if it doesn't make sense for the story or really add any character depth. They go at these influencers who have a huge social media following to help draw people to watch their casted films. These are the options in which the film industry makes money, which is really the root of it all. which leads me to my last breakdown. What makes a good film is good writing, timing, character development, story arc, framing, lighting, music, and editing. While what makes a great film is doing all of that exceptionally well while taking risks that challenge societal norms that inspire people. A good remake here and there never hurt anybody. In fact, there's been a lot of reimagined and remade movies that have been good in recent years. But I can see where the critique lies and why sometimes it doesn't necessarily translate. Most of the problem for making remakes is that in itself limits the creativity to explore different characters and different stories not already told. It feels like with remakes everyone is playing it safe, and it comes across as lazy sometimes, and lacks the original charm of the film. Most remakes tend to have bigger budgets and take up space within the theaters, cutting out the small guy who may possibly have a diamond in the rough, but because it has a lower budget, the world may never see it. In an era where a lot of things are sampled, remade, rebooted, or rehashed, sometimes seeing one of our favorite films or pieces of media waters down the legacy of what we held near and dear to our hearts and substitute it with something that changes the likeness of what made something already great. And furthermore, it sugarcoats its message to say, we are breathing new life into a film for a generation that hasn't seen the original and creating something new for now. Movies used to feel free. It felt like there was more time on screen with dialogue, character development, and amazing direction that pushed the limits of the actors and the message behind the story. But with remaking movies, there's already a foundation and guaranteed audience, leaving little room to do anything different. If you keep the movie the same, there's no point in making it. If you go too far off from the original script, you might as well write an original film. Some of the classics that's been highly acclaimed did this by risking their own resources to create a memorable experience that are part of the zeitgeist of what we loved about watching films. And while doing that, it helped inspire generations to want to be filmmakers to tell their unique stories and experiences. It still happens today, don't get me wrong, it's just different. And let me say this again, with great movies, it takes time. We have these big tentpole movies that draw in people to the theaters, but what happens to all the other genres of original releases getting the same amount of promotion and marketing? Most are hidden through the streaming platforms. Most of it is because companies are afraid to fail, and they don't want to lose money, which is the root of it. But if failing is worth fighting for a project or idea, give us something worth to believe in. I think people are and will be hungry for original ideas, concepts, and the way we look at film in the near future. So what do we do now? I never wanted to be a channel that just ranted, although it's cool. I want to break things down, but also try to find some solution. The power is in the dollar, and I know it's very hard to convince people to not go and see an uninspired remake because people are going to do what they want to do. Also, I would never do that because it prevents the livelihood of someone else. But that's why I became an artist. I became an artist to cultivate different ideas, original concepts that were inspired from the past, and create something new and fresh. I have an EP called Nostalgia, which talks about some of the issues today with relationships, finding community, and pursuing your passion. It takes an inspiration from our favorite childhood shows, movies, and music, and I created a body of work that is relative to today. And you should check it out. So what do you all think about the surge of remade movies? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And where do you see us going in the future? Don't forget to hit that notification bell, like, and share with someone you think would be interested in this conversation. Thanks again for watching, and until next breakdown, peace.